Запись. Хорошо. Okey. Ülviye Hanım, Xudaverdi Bey, John. John.
John.
Okey,
Okey,
John
John
yazıyor.
yazıyor.
Ama
Ama mikrofonları söndürün.
mikrofonları söndürün ki konflikt olmasın. Ekber izleyiz. Ekber sen kompüterden bağlanırsan yoksa necə? Ha, elə o da qoyursan ama kameranı söndür də kamerasız. Gəldi Zümrüt müəllim. Hə, lap yaxşı.
Bura qoşmuşuq da.
Ha,
Qoşulub bu saat.
bəli. Игорь, Ümit Mirzayev тоже пришел. Не, бura baxın, bura baxın. Да, камера.
Умут, здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте. Как дела, дорогой?
Нормально все, спасибо. Все, рад видеть.
Спасибо. Хорошо, мы в полном сборе, готовы,
Окей.
готовы все
И
команды.
вот, у нас английский рабочий язык.
Здравствуйте, Заур Бey. Значит, рабочий язык, да, английский.
Okay, hello. Okay. Okay. Good evening, not actually good day to everyone. My name is Iqor, and today we'll spend some time for the preparation of this interesting project of oral history. And just 1 second, someone else is joining us. So, but before I start, I would like to go over and you to introduce yourself, but maybe I will introduce myself briefly first, and after that we'll go around and you will introduce yourself too. So, about myself, I'm originally from the city which is called, actually was called Leningrad, okay, which is now St. Petersburg. And I came to the United States in 1987, so long time ago, and most of my life I live in the United States now. And I'm the citizen of the United States. I have no other citizenship, and I will explain why I'm telling about it a little bit later. So here in the United States, I studied at UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, being trained as historian. And all my life here in the United States, again in America, I work as historian and now also like political scientist. So I'm in humanities to many extent. And I used to work for the project which relates to our plans. It was a project established by Steven Spielberg. It's called Show Visual History Foundation, and I will talk about this a little bit more. When the project was over, I moved to New York and worked as senior historian at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, a living memorial to the Holocaust. And after that, the work was over in 2008. I, with a group of friends and colleagues, established a small museum, the Museum of Human Rights, Freedom and Tolerance, which I actually present here. Okay. Also, I'm involved with the Rutgers University. It's a very one famous university, and the university has a center for the study of genocide and human rights. Okay, and I'm in charge of the former Soviet Union. And this capacity, I visited your country, okay, a couple of years ago, less than about 2 years ago, and I'm kind of a senior scholar over there, and in charge of the project, the dialogue, America-Russia-the former Soviet Union, of course, including Azerbaijan. So, and we are at the center, are in very close contact with the Russian State University for the Humanities. They have the Center of the Holocaust and Genocides. Okay, and we work with many other universities. Like recently, we did some work with St. Elizabeth University here in New Jersey, and so on and so forth. So I'm very much involved in work on genocides, human rights, and so on and so forth. And oral history became one of my major topics because of the work for Steven Spielberg and his project. So this is very briefly about myself, very briefly. And later I will share with you my experience, which might be helpful for our project here. So what I would like to do now, to go around we don't have a table now, like a visual table, let me put this, and if you don't mind to introduce yourself, your name, last name, what is your professional interest, and why you want to join this project. Very briefly, just a couple of minutes.
Let me begin, Mr. Igor. I am Fuat Abbasov, International Eurasia Press Fund Media Department, and I am head of this project. Ümit Mirzayev, near of me. Ümit Mirzayev, the president of International Eurasia Press Fund. And other people introduce themselves also. Ekber, please. Kamera, mikrofon al, oradan danış.
Ermənistan kökenlisi.
Onu da diyebilirsin.
Hello, Mr. Kotler. My name is Akbar Shabandayev. I'm currently working at the International Eurasian Press Fund as a writer. And of course, I'm myself, ethnicity, my personal ethnicity is from the Western Azerbaijani.
Okay.
I'm Mr. Igor Kotler. How are you? I hope all is well with you, and I'm Hudaver Deguliyev, head of the program department of International Eurasia Press Fund, and I'm originally from Western Azerbaijan. And now I'm the student of the master degree, first class.
Good.
Thank you very much.
I'm Ulviye Kerimova. I'm an independent journalist, and I'm also originally from Western Azerbaijan. And I graduated master degree this year, and with a scholarship of US government. And now I am working with the International Eurasian Press Fund. That's it.
Good.
Yes.
Здравствуйте, господин Котлер. Если разрешите, я представлюсь на русском языке. Я Заур Ибрагимов. Я представитель донора. Донор у нас агентство государственной поддержки неправительственных организаций. Я член правления. Очень тесно сотрудничаю с Удмалимом. У них очень, как бы сказать, очень важный для нас проект и очень интересный проект. Надеемся, что с вашей помощью, с вашим опытом у нас в Азербайджане будет впервые осуществлен такой масштабный проект и такой инновативный проект. Мы очень внимательно следим, будет какие результаты. Думаю, что мы справиться, потому что он у нас очень опытный и реализовал очень масштабный, очень важный проект для нас. Желаю вам удачи, господин.
Спасибо.
Let me just
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just finish introduction to myself. I'm Mr. Igor. I think we met before, yeah?
Yes.
I'm John Ayomide, originally from Nigeria, and presently I am a program department officer to International Eurasia Press Fund, and I'm a former international relations student, which I graduated as an international relations, and yeah, presently I just work for IPF at the program department. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, and we have two more people joining us. Ramin and Farid.
Yes, Ramin and Farid, they are joined us, but they are not now with us. They are only listening. They are our project
Officers, yeah.
assistants. They will help us to realize this project.
Okay, understand. Okay, fine. So, let me share with you, first of all, how the idea of this project came to my mind. Okay. Of course, I knew about the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia from the very beginning. It was in the United States and followed that. the Soviet Union was shaking and finally it fell apart. I read. And I lived in California. California has a very large Armenian population, maybe you know, okay? And HLA at my university, there were Armenian studies, okay, which is natural when you have so many people of such and such group, like we had Latin American studies and so on and so forth. And there were a lot of information about the conflict, mainly showing the Armenian side, okay, mainly. And we knew about the Armenian refugees. Many what I call Soviet Armenians, okay, were coming to California from Azerbaijan. There were Armenians from Armenia. There were Armenians from Georgia. But because it's a huge Armenian community in Los Angeles, really big one, okay. So, and I had some interactions over there with Armenians, and I heard one side of the story. There was one thing which was in my mind. Sometimes it was mentioned that about 150,000, maybe my figure is wrong, Azeri citizens, let me put this way, of Armenia, fled Armenia and moved to Azerbaijan. Okay, but it was here and there, no details, nothing. Why they moved, what happened to them, nothing appeared. Okay, so and Armenia, the Armenian diaspora is very big. I mean, you can find Armenians everywhere. I mean, when I visited, for example, Argentina, I saw an Armenian center. They live in France, so they have kind of like a large diaspora. Many of them quite famous people. So the world knows about one side. When I came to the Caucasus, my old memory about Azeri refugees came to my mind, okay? And having this experience with the Shaw Foundation project, and I will talk about this project more in a minute, I realized, listen, but always you need to listen to two sides, okay? But Azeri side is not known to the world, okay? What happened to Azeris in Armenia? Why they left, okay? What is their fate? What was the historical development, so on and so forth. Okay. Maybe there is literature about that. I'm not a specialist, okay? I didn't see titles here in the United States. Usually I go through the titles. Too many books are published nowadays. You know, you can't read everything, but you go through the titles. And I didn't see, I don't recall any title about this problem, about this event, like the flight of Azeris from Armenia. Never heard about this, or from the areas which were taken by Armenia. Okay, also never heard about this. So when I came to your country, I talked to Umu, okay, and I told him, listen, it makes sense to create a project of oral history because the written history in this case might not exist, or maybe extremely limited. Okay, but every person is a witness, and we'll talk about oral history in general. So, and it might be necessary to collect information. And what I learned from the Shaw Foundation, just a few words about this foundation. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, very briefly. Of course, I believe that you know this name, Steven Spielberg. He's like a world-known film producer. Jurassic Park, many other movies, E.T., and so on and so forth. He filmed, or he created a movie which called The Schindler's List. Probably heard about this, okay? And he got Oscar for his movie. In this movie, I mean, he did not plan to make money. Already, it was 1993. He was a multimillionaire. He did it for his heart. Okay, he's Jewish, and he wanted to commemorate the Holocaust somehow. Okay, he made money, and even I can give you amount, $29 million. Half of this money went to a charitable foundation, which still exists. It's called Righteous Persons Foundation, located in Los Angeles. The second, he put into a project, which he called Shoah Visual History Foundation. Shoah means Holocaust in Hebrew. Okay, foundation was not a good word. Actually, many people thought this is foundation. It's a money organization. Okay, not archive. Okay, it was not so well done, but anyhow, the project worked between 1994 to 2001. I joined this in 1996 as a historian. Okay, why they hired me? Very simple. Two of my friends and colleagues from my university worked there as historians. They were specialists on Western Europe, but there were so many interviews from Eastern Europe, and they needed the person who knew Eastern Europe and who knew languages. And my native is Russian. Of course, I can read Ukrainian, I can read Polish, I know Yiddish to some extent, Hebrew, and so on and so forth. So they hired me. Okay, and I work as a historian over there, but not a historian who sits with books, okay, and reads books and tell. I supervised work of catalogers, of interviewers, okay. We created a system of the database and so on and so forth. I was involved in all kind of sides of this work, okay. And 5 years, it was a lot, okay. It was a good experience with this huge project. Why it's huge? Very simple figures. 52,000 interviews in 32 languages, okay. It was enough money, and some other people were giving money, and we operated in many countries. Germany, France, everywhere in Europe, Ukraine, Russia, the Baltic countries, Moldova, Romania, Hungary, and so on and so forth. Okay, Israel, of course, and Latin America, Brazil, Argentina, and so on. So it was my experience. A huge project, which we started from zero, practically, from scratch. Okay, and this is my experience. So coming back to you, we talked, and again, when you do, and yes, maybe one more thing. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. I mean, probably you know about the Holocaust, but there is a problem, growing problem, actually two problems. One is called Holocaust denial. Some people say there was no Holocaust, okay. And second problem is the fading of memory. Less people know what was the Holocaust about, what was the conflict about, what was the situation, what is Auschwitz, so on and so forth. Okay, it's understandable. New generation is far from the historical events. Okay. On the other hand, it's a very specific event. I'm not going to give you a lecture about the Holocaust. Okay, it's not our subject today. But I learned a lesson that really historical events might be distorted or might disappear from the memory when there are no documents. Even if the Holocaust is documented. For example, life in the ghetto is not, okay, was documented. People were living there, some diaries, but daily life we didn't know about. How people saved themselves in forests, in the woods, we didn't know more about much, and so on and so forth. So coming to you, you have this historical event, the refugees who fled Armenia, okay, and went to Azerbaijan, okay, settled over there. We don't know their stories. I contacted, now maybe I need to stop here for 1 second. My position, I should be clear about that, because the conflict is ongoing, okay, still, between Azerbaijan and Armenia, it's ongoing. I don't want to, I mean, I want to be very clear. I'm not taking sides, okay, in this conflict. I'm Jewish from Leningrad, okay, and I'm against killing, I'm against war, against many, many things. Sometimes war is necessary, I understand that, okay. Myself, I'm a son of a military officer, naval officer. My father served in the Soviet Navy for 25 years. He was a combat officer during Second World War, 25 years. The older generation of the Soviet geography. I was born in Leningrad. My childhood was in Severomorsk, near Murmansk, because my father served there. Okay, as a boy, I was like far, far north, near Murmansk. Okay, after that we returned to Leningrad, and actually I was formed in Leningrad. So now going back, and for me, and Umut knows that there is another organization, Steven Bronner and some other people, Eric Goslan. We are working on the idea of two societies, Armenian and Azeri civil societies talking to each other. Okay, what I learned in the Caucasus. Okay, and I'll finish briefly. I heard this in Georgia, in Armenia, and in Azerbaijan. I heard one thing. People were telling me, we are going to live together. We are not going to disappear. Okay, we are going to live together. We need to do something on that. And actually, I found that, yeah, probably there are ways, but again, it's not about our things. It's about my personal position. And in this conflict, I'm still trying to understand this. Okay, I'm not taking sides. But if Armenians, and I know that because I have contacts with them, have a lot of oral history testimonies and collections, I contacted them. Okay, I talked to them. You don't have in Azerbaijan. So, and I consider this is my, I would say, scholar's duty, okay, to help you with this project if you want to do this. And it turned out you want to do this. Okay. Now, what is the reason? Not the reason. What is the outcome? When you have an oral history project, at least with some kind of representation, not one or two individuals, you have already historical record, okay? Because it's very difficult to say that, listen, 30 people, 40 people, 100 people, 2,000 people created something, yeah? Okay, they just created this fantasy, okay? When you have this record, what you can do, this is material for academic work, for books, educational programs, okay, international communication, documentary movies. For example, at the Shaw Foundation, we created, I believe, 6 documentary films in 6 languages, okay, on the materials which we collected over there. So it's very important. It might be exhibitions, everything. This project could give you an opportunity to really voice this problem, okay, to show what happened. Otherwise, there are one-side view only on the Armenian side. And again, they should do the same to show, because unfortunately, both sides did something in this conflict. And again, we have now, after so many years, to analyze, but also the conflict is ongoing and it should be solved, I believe. Every side is eager in that. So, just for you to understand my position, I'm not taking sides, I'm a neutral person, but I really want to help you because this piece of history is missing, okay? And it should be reconstructed, and the world should know about that. It's my position. And I talked to my colleagues here yesterday at my museum. We had a meeting. I told my guys about that we are going to meet. I talked to ICDD, and everybody supports me. Okay, this is very important. So this is my general introduction. So now about oral history. I already mentioned that the whole idea is creating a historical record. Okay, it's not just talking about something, a historical record. If we are going to create this historical record, it should be, let me put this way, well organized. I talked to Fuad and Umut before this conversation, and usually I have approximately 4-hour seminar. Today we don't have this so much time because I'm leaving soon, and I wanted to do this later, but I was told that you want to start going to those 2 refugees, right? To start working with them. And also I prepared the PIQ, the pre-interview questionnaire, which is translated in Azeri, okay? And you want to go, okay, with this to start collecting information. But I have a question now for you and for everyone. Do we have any database how many people, in other words, you are planning to interview?
We planning get interview from 200 people in this project. If we can make more, it will be very pleasure for us. But our plan is 200 people.
200 is a good number already. Okay, it's a representative number. Okay, and of course it's going to be in the Azeri language, right?
In Azerbaijan, yes, of course.
Okay, sure. So from this point, let's start with the following. I will also tell you the mistake which was made by the Shaw Foundation at the very beginning. Okay. Spielberg hired 2 documentalists, film documentalists. Okay, they became heads of our foundation, and they got equipment, some kind of idea, and they started interviewing people. First interview were very bad. Okay, we read them off, so they didn't become the part of the collection. Why? The quality was very bad. Why the quality was very bad? The documentalists didn't know what to ask, how to ask, and the interviewees were not ready to give their testimonies. So the question number 1 is, if you go to people, okay, is to explain to them the goal of this project. Okay, it's very important, because if they don't know the goal, they don't understand why you're asking. Okay, and it might be information which you don't need. Okay, I'll explain what kind of information. People very often tell general stories about politics. Okay, yes, Azerbaijan and Armenia were at war, blah blah blah. They need to know that their major focus. You have to introduce the project, explaining, we want to know about you, your personal experience. This is very important thing. Okay, but sometimes people do not understand why they are so interested. Okay, why you want to know more about them? What is the reason? So, in other words, what I recommend you to write some kind of an introduction to the project, which would be understood by anyone, a person with comparatively modest education, what it is about, to prepare him or her for this interview. Okay, and to explain to the person why he or she, small, ordinary person, is, why so much interested to him or her experience. Okay, and to explain the significance of this experience. Okay, that we want to know history, we know what happened to you. It's very important. Also, we do have to decide, it's my recommendation, that people would tell their life story, like we did at the Shaw Foundation, from the very beginning to the moment of the interview, with focus on these events, like being refugees, okay, living in Armenia, fleeing Armenia, what happened in Armenia, how they came to Azerbaijan, how they established themselves. Okay, but again, like 20 to 25%, they're pre-1988 or so events, and maybe 20 to 25%, maybe a little more, 30%, what happened in Azerbaijan after they came to the country, and what happened to them during this bloody period. Okay, this is my recommendation. Okay, so some focus, because what is our goal? To, again, reconstruct history. Now, next thing. About the PIQ. When there were several of us, historians of the Shaw Foundation, we watched first interviews, the quality was not good, and we worked on this PIQ, the pre-interview questionnaire. The pre-interview questionnaire helps you to collect a lot of information which survivors or refugees would not reveal, okay? Because you don't have time to go through their family history, through their relatives, and so forth. Number one. Number two, it's a written record, which is also very good for archive, okay, for scholars or educators to come and to see, maybe students, whatever. Again, your audience is going to be very, very diverse. Scholars, academics, educators, students, lay people, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this written material is very helpful. What we did, it was really written. After that, it was put in electronic form as well, but not online. Not online. Only if the person comes to the archive or contact the archives and is allowed to read this information. But it's very good for sociologists, it's very good for historians, it's very good for demographers, and so on and so forth. So we created this large questionnaire in order, or PIQ, for the interviewer, to be prepared, to understand what it's about, okay, what he should think about, to help him or her to recreate the whole picture, okay, of his or her life. There is a very simple thing, very simple test. If I ask anyone here sitting to tell me all your personal biography, your personal story, with all details, nobody would be able to do this. You understand? Nobody. Okay. We need time to go back to our memories and to reestablish, okay, these events. So your contact is very important. But again, you know much better traditions of your country, you know much better how to behave. What is very important? To establish a trust, real trust between you and your interviewer. Okay. Our interviewers here in the United States were visiting people, sometimes having like a couple of tea conversations, maybe 1 or 2 visits. Okay. In your situation, I don't know, but it should be trust. Because people sometimes, it might be in your situation, are afraid of looking at you as officials, okay, not understanding the goal. Okay. So you must explain. And on the other hand, what is very important, I mentioned to Umut at some point, you have to create, in my opinion, a document which the interviewer signs, that he or she is giving all the rights to you, to your organization, okay, to use it. That nobody can claim it back, okay, neither the interviewee, not his or her family, okay, because again, I don't know realities of Azerbaijan. In America, it's very touchy situation, it's a liability. We were giving them a copy of the interview, okay, to the family, but they signed a special release form, okay, like a legal document. We had a lawyer, attorney working for us, and it was established, okay, because you have to be free to use these materials to the way which you consider, okay, in any way, okay, to show, to demonstrate, to disseminate, to use any way you need, okay. This is a very important part. Now, next thing, when you go to, and again, today I will spend only time on the PIQ, maybe some ideas. In parallel with PIQs, you should start creating an electronic database, okay, almost immediately, because at some point at the Shaw Foundation, we have a big backlog, okay. I mean, material was coming, and we didn't know what to do with that. But again, I'm talking about the beginning of the 90s, because there were different technology. Okay, it was very difficult. We needed some people to sit after that, to go back to the records and to put in the computers. Okay, it was very, very costly and time-consuming. So from this point, I recommend you immediately to create a database on everyone, and to have records what was done, visits, such and such, and short report, okay, what was accomplished. to know about the person. One more thing is very important. When you introduce yourself, when you establish trust, they have to believe you, to trust you, and you fill this questionnaire with the person. Also, ask your interview to think about artifacts, okay? Because artifacts are very important. What kind of artifacts? Whatever they have from the old country, what they brought with them, because this is part of history. This is always a question. What is very valuable for people? Okay, what they're taking with them? Okay, it might be a family album, it might be pictures, it might be, I don't know, family artifacts, it might be, I don't know what. Okay, but it's very, very, very important. At the Museum of Jewish Heritage I worked, we collected artifacts from the people who survived the Holocaust. Okay, and among materials was some absolutely amazing things. Okay, which people really kept. Okay, in ghettos, in camps, and so on and so forth. So all this tragic period of their lives. So these artifacts are very important. Artifacts and photographs, pictures. Okay, so of course, I mean, it's up to you. If you want to create a museum or exhibition, you can do that. It's another step, maybe, to collect this artifact. At least you take pictures, but it's very important also description. It's very description and motivation why such and such item was taken. Okay, not just another thing. Okay, because it shows the internal world. Why? Okay, what was so significant for them? Why still they preserve this? Okay. In our interviews at the Shaw Foundation, after the interview, the interviewer was going to these artifacts, recording them, okay, taking all explanation. But also there was a description in the PIQ. Well, like it might be special additional document. And this is a part which would help you to collect information, and it's very important for historians too, okay, to see, to reconstruct this world which people lived in before they escaped to the country, to Azerbaijan. Now, I have a question, by the way. Your 200 people, they're living in Baku or in different places?
Usually they're living in Baku, and maybe some of them in the near of Baku region. But
Okay.
usually they're living in Baku.
Okay. Now, when you visit them, okay, when you visit them, also explain to them, again, I mentioned that, but now in more detail, that all this work, you don't need any gossip or folklore stories or hearsay. То, что in Russian называем это слухи. Only personal experience. Only personal experience. Okay. So I just started with one of the historians, Jonathan Friedman, my colleague and friend who is teaching now at Westchester University in Pennsylvania, for example, published a book, okay, based on oral histories, but in academic book. There are many books now in the United States which are based on this collection. So, but because of the quality, this is your responsibility, the quality of the project, okay? To keep your interviewee in some kind of parameters of the interview. So this is done at home, first of all, okay? at home where you're going to explain the project now. And I would like to tell you several steps. What I will do the next time when we continue. I will prepare this extra sound.
Okay.
Okay. I will prepare some PowerPoint presentation for that. So I already mentioned you have to have a clear definition of the project. But actually, I would create two of them. One for the world, okay, for Azerbaijan, okay, and for the world in general. The second, more extended, for your interviews to understand, okay, why are they asked these questions? What is the reason? Now, of course, I don't need to mention about budget and publicity. Now, about equipment. This is kind of a question for myself. Back in the beginning of the 90s, we used cameras. We had cameramen coming. In today, even telephones have very good resolution. Okay. You have to consider what kind of equipment you're going to use for these interviews. And you have to explain to the interviewee what kind of equipment. Because I can tell you where is the problem. The problem is if you would not tell them that you are going to use your telephones, which is possible. It depends what you want. They might consider this very kind of light-minded, not serious. Okay. Yeah, someone comes with me with a telephone, what it's about, because the older generation is more familiar with big cameras, something very stable. Okay, I don't believe we need it. First of all, it's very costly. Secondly, again, it's the matter of resolution. But you have to decide on evaluation. Now, could you excuse me for one quick second? One, please, because someone's calling my door now. Problem working at home. Someone knocks your door. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are listening you, but I ask you to take microphone near of you because yes, okay.
Is it better?
Yes, better. Thank you.
Good. So now for our interviewers who we sit here, what you should do, you have to conduct background research. You should know about the event, really to know about the event. You have to read literature, you have to understand the event, you have to manage material. Because it would be a very big disappointment if you come to the interview and have a little idea what happened at the time. And some of you, I can see the faces, probably were even born after this event or during this event, and you have no personal memory about that. Okay, this is a very important point. During my work with Spielberg's project, there was a very big problem. We trained interviewees, still people didn't have any idea about the events, especially here in the United States, and there was a problem. I can give you one example. And I criticized our interviewers all the time for this in the United States. They were coming to conduct interviews in English. Okay, fine. The interview was going in English, and they didn't ask a very simple question: what language did you speak at home? Okay, but people were from Poland, Russia, Lithuania, Romania, and so on and so forth. Okay, people were speaking, it's not your case, but people were speaking very different languages. Okay, really different languages, sometimes 2 or 3 languages at home. Okay, and I was even joking, talking to our interviewers. Of course, in some small kind of town in Lithuania or in Poland, they spoke English. What else? Of course, everybody speaks English. In your situation is different. I believe that the vast majority of you guys were speaking Azeri at home, for example. But you should ask about their knowledge of Armenian or Russian, and so on and so forth. It's very important too, because of what kind of interactions. I give you my personal experience. I'm from Leningrad. I already told. I grew up in a Russian-speaking family, and everybody spoke Russian. Many years ago, I went to Tbilisi. I had relatives living in Tbilisi. I talked to different people, and I remember I went to barber's shop, okay, and there was an Azeri person, okay, barber in Tbilisi, and he talked to me in Russian. I mean, I didn't know any other languages. He told me that he knew Azeri, his native language, Russian because it's the language of the country, Georgian because he lived in Tbilisi, and Armenian because he lived in the Armenian kind of neighborhood. 4 languages. For me, it was surprising. Okay, I didn't see people like that in Leningrad. Okay, not at all. Okay, everybody spoke Russian. That's it. My main. Okay, so from this point, there are some small things. So you have to know the situation at the time in the country. You have to know, especially young generation, what was the Soviet Union. Okay, because they will give you a lot of Soviet background. Okay, you need to understand, because sometimes I talk to young generation. For them, I understand it's a past, okay, but you should know this past, okay. You know about this conflict. You should to understand what happened, what was the result of this conflict. Okay, it's very important background information, but also this background information, historical, would help you with the next step. The next step is to compare or to understand this interview, its historical value. Okay, and to manage this interview to the way to create a historical record. Otherwise, it's going to be a product with a very, very insignificant quality. Let me put this way. Now, just I'm giving you general steps you have to start thinking about. Now, about the interviews themselves, we'll talk next time. Okay, because I will give you methodology. I will explain to you what kind of problems we had. Yes, one thing. Please, a little bit read. It is my recommendation to all interviewers. Read about psychology, especially psychology of the victims. Okay, there is literature about that. You know English. If you need, I can come in the future with some kind of titles and recommendations. You need to understand, because it's very sensitive. People were traumatized, okay, and you need to be very careful with your questions, with your approach. Next time, I will tell you what kind of negative situations we got with some people, okay. Now, the next thing is for organizers of the project, how to process interviews. How are you going to keep them? Should be a platform, a special website, okay? And it's very important. How you're going to really keep it for eternity, okay? It might be, again, we can talk about that. And what I'm going to do, I'll tell you, because the Shaw Foundation, when stopped its active phase in 2001, the whole collection, the Shaw Foundation sent to the USC, University of Southern California. This project sits over there. You can find it online. Okay, Shaw Foundation USC. You can take a look at that. And I still have contacts with them. I can ask them how they keep information now in our new age. Okay. and they continue to work. They continue to interview different groups of people who are persecuted in the world. Unfortunately, this situation continues, and people get killed or expelled or are victims of human rights abuse, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, the next thing is to organize and present results. Okay. Here it's up to you. It's your country. Okay. What you're going to do with that? I already mentioned the all possibilities. The possibility number one, I mean, in general, it's archive. Okay, for archival purposes. Books might be published. Books, academic books, memoirs, okay, or might be articles. What I would recommend you to, what we did educational programs, real educational programs, okay, for schools, for universities, okay. It was at that time on CDs, but it was done. It might be a documentary or two, okay. So it's good to start now, because it might help you to focus on in the interviews, to give an additional focus. And what is very important from the very beginning, to create a list of terms. Now, in order to search the collection, so Fuat and Umut, I mean, my recommendation also, I don't know your budget, all your plans. Maybe interviewers can do the same. 200, it's not so many, but it's significant. You should have catalogers. Okay, who are catalogers? Those who listen to the interviews, okay, and who put information in the database about. So the index, how to find information. For example, I want to know about Stepanakert, okay, so I click, I'm as a reader, okay, or the visitor of your site, Stepanakert, and let's see, interview number 1, number 5, number 10, number 11, and such segment, okay. So, because it's very, very time consuming to listen to the whole interview, looking for information, okay. You have to help your people, otherwise it's not very productive, okay. So, they should be cataloged. We had a whole cataloging department doing this work, and we created the system of indexing, okay. So if you're planning to do that, I will spend some time explaining how it might be done, okay. But think about this. So it consists of 3 groups, major groups. Group number 1, general terms, okay. Group number 2, geographic names. Group number 3, personal names, okay, for people looking for information, okay. This is very important. What else? We will talk about standardization. Now, you have one more thing which I believe you have to consider. It's going to be in the Azeri language, okay. So this language is available for a very limited number of people, okay. So those who speak English cannot get to it, okay. But I believe your project should be international in terms of availability, okay. It's very important for locals, of course, but again, people in the world should know about the tragedy which happened in that region, not only from one side, from another side, from your side as well, okay. So again, it's very, very, very time consuming and very expensive, of course, to translate everything, but you have to think, and we can think together about what should be translated, but something should be translated, okay. At least the indexing system, okay, for a Western scholar or educator or any lay person to go to your database and see all terms in English, okay, because finally you can find an interpreter or translator and you can get information through someone, okay. But it's very important too, okay. And I believe this part is not so difficult, okay, to translate indexing. if you want to translate some parts of the interview, it's another story. Okay. Now, couple more things about PAQs. First of all, my question to you, first of all, and to others. The PAQ which I sent you, you translated. Did you change something? Did you add something?
We translated to Azerbaijan language. I can show you now. Ne göstereyim de. This is your English version, and we translate everything same, not changing anything to Azerbaijan language. And we planning to get interview from our people, refugees, and then translate it also to English language. But
So
we
you're
don't
planning-
change anything.
Good. It's up to you, but just I'm curious. So now as I understand, it's going to be in Azeri, okay, and after that you will translate back to English.
Yes, because in our project in Azeri language, everybody knows about it. We want to tell about it to the international community.
Very good. It's very good.
Yes.
Okay. From this point, tell me, and you have these 200 people. How much time will take to go to them to fill out PIQs?
We must
What?
finish this project until 1 of October, 1st of October.
Everything, PIQs and interviews.
Yes, everything. Yes,
It's possible. Okay.
I think also.
Yeah, this is possible. For me, it's very important. I need to write it down. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Ну, время у нас в руках.
Очень.
okay. So, and you are going to start almost immediately, right?
Yes.
In this case, let's do the following. So, I didn't count. How many interviewers do you have?
At the moment,
Yes.
interviewers kim ki götürecek interview'u? At the moment, we have 5 people for this work, and maybe we will work with the volunteers also.
Okay. So 5 people, at least 5 people are going to work. Okay.
Yes.
What do you think? How much time will take for them to go to all these 200 interviewees?
If we will working every day, I think it will be 1 month enough for this work,
Very good.
and maximum 2 months.
Just for PIQs or for everything?
For interviews.
No. My question is, let me to be more clear from this point. We can continue, okay, because again, I can talk about more about the interviews, but we talked about the first step only about PIQs. Okay, it was my plan for today.
PIQs, o dediğin neydi ki PIQs?
Pre-interview questionnaires. Okay.
You are talking about the questionnaire you
Yes.
sent us. Okay.
In English they're called PIQ.
Okay, I understand.
Pre-interview
PIQ.
questionnaire.
Okay, PIQ.
PIQs. Okay.
Игорь, дорогой, мне кажется, что надо будет нам как-то вот пройти по этой документу, вопроснику, потому что, может быть, следующий у нас по пунктам просто посмотреть и...
Хорошо.
Да, и как-то вот, чтобы наши люди до конца понимали. Это вот сегодняшний у нас ознакомительный это разговор. А вот на следующие дни, когда будет время, мне кажется, что было бы хорошо по пунктам мы прошли это. Ну, в принципе, вроде бы все понятно, но с другой стороны,
Умут, я
да,
слушаю, извиняюсь.
да, и с другой стороны, нам нужно просто общаться с практиком. Вы прошли этот путь, нам кое-какие нюансы не знакомы, нам нужно, конечно, очень нужно и важно и интересно послушать вашу практику.
Тогда давайте сделаем такую вещь. Потому что к этому я не был готов в данный момент, потому что я не
Да.
знал, что нужно. Значит,
Мгм.
мы сделаем такую вещь. Мы после нашего разговора я вам пришлю несколько дат, когда я могу разговаривать. Как я сказал, я на неделю уезжаю, буквально в субботу поздно ночью я улетаю, и через неделю возвращаюсь. После приезда у меня будет время. Мы наметим еще одну, две, три встречи, сколько необходимо. Ну, шаг за шагом, не будем сидеть там часами и так далее. Пару часов, час-полтора посидели. И мы тогда организуем какую-то коммуникацию, что вы собираете вопросы для меня, мы садимся их обсуждаем. Окей?
Да.
Чтобы у меня был с вами контакт, ongoing. Значит, хорошо. Я это понял. Значит, что я хочу сделать? Наши планы дальше. Я с удовольствием пройдусь по PIQ, окей? Расскажу всякие реакции, какие-то мои комментарии. Просто об этом, честно говоря, не думал. И дальше мы с вами должны проработать вопросник. Окей? Вы можете начать прорабатывать в черне. Вот какие вопросы вы считаете необходимо задать людям. Я с удовольствием, сейчас, извините, секундочку, телефон. Окей. Я с удовольствием добавлю что-то, свои какие-то мысли по этому поводу. Значит, вопросник – это обязательная вещь. Потому что работа должна быть более-менее... Sorry, я стал говорить по-русски. So, let me go to English. So, the next thing is, we are going to go through PIQs together, okay? Prepare all the questions and comments, whatever you want. The next thing, we have to prepare a questionnaire. This questionnaire, it should be basis. Okay, of course, everything depends on the interviewer, but it's basis. What kind of questions you're going to ask them? It's very important. And I will explain to you technique, okay, how to ask questions, because it's very specific, and how to get answers. Okay. Next thing, we will do some training. Okay, we need some training. Usually, I will tell you how I will organize training for you. Okay, like it's called mock interviews. Okay, we'll do some training. Okay. And let's put the following. We have not so much time. It should be done after my return within a couple of weeks, the most. Okay, the all preparation. And if you want, I can do one more thing for you, but I need someone helping me. We can do critical viewing of the first interviews together. What is critical viewing? You conducted an interview, okay? We watch together, you translate for me the questions and answers, and I'll give you background. Okay, sorry, I will give you my comments. Maybe if you wish, because people understand English, I can show you maybe part of an interview with the Shaw Foundation, also with critical viewing. Okay, I will show you this technology. What is for what as a head? What is very important? In the interviewers should tell your interviewer, okay, you guys, that might be some interviews might be redone, okay, anew, because I'll explain. We need to set parameters of the interview, okay, like 2 hours, 1 hour, something like that, okay. But the Shaw Foundation was going with this kind of standard, but we historians realized that some interviews were extremely interesting. They needed more, okay, time. They needed more because information was unique and interesting. So you have to preserve this right to return to the person and to get a new interview. Okay, because it might be case, not so often, but it might be case. The longest interview we had was 17 hours. Okay, 3 days were coming to the person and taking, because it was a normal story, absolutely amazing. Okay, so but these are small nuances. So let's do the following. I believe that I did my introduction, what I planned today. Okay, if you don't mind. Okay, I can talk more, but I believe it's better to stop here. Okay.
Yes, I think so. 1 hour is enough.
Yes.
For first.
Yes, and I will take a look at my calendar, let you know all my dates. Okay, you will talk to your team. Okay, and I hope I'll see you approximately 2 weeks from now. Okay, and now I know what you want. And Mike, now I have a question for all of you. Do you have any questions for me? Any comments?
Kimsə sualı var verməyə? Fikirləşin, sualsız olmazı bu qədər kişi şey danışıb. I have one question. We have two copies of questionnaire in 2 languages. We will take interview in Azerbaijan, then we will use English version. I think we can do 1 copy with 2 languages. For example, we write in Azerbaijan in big letters, and under them the English with little letters, because of it to translate everything to the English in another paper, it takes so much time. Can we do 1 copy with 2 languages?
Sure. It's what. This is our decision as a team. Okay, this is our decision. There is no standard. It's not an international standard. We can work from the realities of your project. Okay, I understand. It's absolutely right. It should be available in English. Okay, for the international community. Okay, and for you to promote your project. Absolutely, you can do this. I have no problem.
Ümit müəllim, mən deyirdim ki, 2 dənə kopya var. Bir bunu dolduracaq, sonra bunu dolduracaq. Mən deyirəm ki, bir də axıra qədər baxacaq. Gör nə deyirəm də, axıra qədər. Mühasibənin ümumi məlumatları. Bunun İngiliscə qarşılığı General Interview Details. Mən bunun altından yazarım. General Interview Details.
Biz Çin'i şeytanla karıştırdık. Biz Azerbaycanca bunun İngilizcəni elektron dolduracağı olmaz.
Yəni fərqli olsun.
Biz adamlarla Azerbaycanca danışacağıq. Burada bizim zamanımız yox. İngilizcə Azerbaycanca bazılarını formalaşdırırıq, sonra dilə tərcümə olacaq. Sən onunla
Mən tam olaraq başa düşmədim. Biz bunu doldururuq, sonra bura yazılır. İkili iş görməmək üçün bunun bura yazılır.
İkili iş deyil, o ayrı işlərdir. Bunlar olmaz.
Gözlətməyə. Okay. John, have you question? Okay. Akbar.
No, I have I personally have a question about one thing that do you suggest us that should we be actually filming any documentary short film about this, that we can publish it in YouTube or some websites, for example?
We have to discuss this because everything is copyright, right? Okay. I can't hear you absolutely clearly, but as I understand, your question is about can we do this at YouTube and so on and so forth, right?
Yes.
This is what we have to decide, because YouTube is a tricky thing. Okay, what is the copyright? Who is going? Because living in the United States, I got adjusted. The problem is intellectual property. You know, we have special lawyers working on that intellectual property. Okay, at the Shaw Foundation, it was a lot of paperwork with signature that it belongs to the Shaw Foundation. Okay, all this information, and the University of Southern California, which now keeps the archive, also doesn't allow anyone to copy just for the sake of the copy. On YouTube, you cannot follow this. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not such a specialist. We need to think about that. Maybe some pieces on YouTube for the promotion. Okay, but all interviews, I don't know. It's up to you. If you want to own this archive, probably you should not do this. You have to have a website, okay, where everybody can come and check it. Okay. Again, this is a matter of discussion. Think about that. We can continue. Okay.
I'm sorry for interrupting, Kotler. Thank you so much for your information. But I was going to ask about one thing as well. That are we able to publish this, for example, let's say documentary film in your foundation?
We need to discuss it.
Okay.
And seriously, I'm not ready because new technology, okay, new approach, and we need to think about this. Okay, how to deal with that? And again, I believe, it's my belief, you have to have all the rights for this material. Okay, because this is your product, this is your effort. So it depends what you want. Okay, and this is going to be your archive. Okay. So it's a tricky situation. We'll talk about that.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kotler.
Any other questions? Fine. So thank you for your attention. I hope you got some kind of information, helpful information. I hope so. Okay. And I will now, I'm very glad to see you, and I'm very excited to be involved with this project, and that this idea is coming to being. It's very important. And yeah, I hope to see you in a couple of weeks. Okay, and you explain to me what you want to do and you want to know. And for the Talmud, maybe we'll talk and at least to exchange some stuff, because I have some questions. I will send them to you. Okay, but it's for organizational purposes. Okay, otherwise, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your evening. I'm going to enjoy my day. It's only 9:15 here, and I have full day ahead. Okay?
Yes, yes. Ümit Müəllim also says you thanks.
Спасибо.
Спасибо, Умут. Мы продолжим. Я очень-очень рад, что у нас начало что-то получаться.
Спасибо, дорогой.
Спасибо.
Договорились. Хорошо.
Спасибо.
Всем счастливо.
Хорошего дня.
Вам тоже. До свидания. Счастливо.
Спасибо. До свидания.